My name's Steve Bingham, and I'm a violinist and educator from the UK. I'm over here in Poland to talk to you about a variety of pieces by PWM Edition as part of their Music from Chopin's Land series. This piece is a lovely cradle song, or we might say lullaby, by Grażyna Bacewicz. She's probably the most well-known female Polish composer. This is part of a volume of her work. Most of the pieces are quite advanced, but for more intermediate students, there are 2 or 3 that are approachable, and this cradle song is one of those. Bacewicz lived from 1909 to 1969 and studied with some very well-known luminaries, including Nadia Boulanger and Carl Flesch. She's got a very large and varied musical output, and it really is worth discovering. So it's great that her music has gained more popularity in recent years. Before we talk about this piece, I'm going to play you the opening section of the cradle song. It's marked muted, so I have my little mute on here on the bridge. And we'll talk a little bit more about how muting affects the violin sound after this. The use of tonality is very interesting. There are changes of key of a fifth, for instance, and it gives the whole piece a slightly modal feel. And there are chromaticisms, some of which you've heard in that opening section, which combined with this make quite a unique musical language, I think, and very interesting to work on that and enjoy the unusual harmonies. One of the things when you're playing a slow, beautiful melody is, of course, vibrato. And this, combined with the way you use the bow, is very important. So even bow speed on the tune, keeping a very constant bow speed movement is really important on a long melody, as is the vibrato. I find that an arm vibrato for this sort of piece, where I can keep it moving continuously, even though I'm changing finger and changing note, is very helpful to try and get an even sound. And then you can decide to speed up or slow down the vibrato, or take it away or bring it back for expressive reasons. But for a student to have that ability to do an even continuous vibrato that's under their control. As all teachers know, it's a tricky thing to teach, but it's a very important thing to have. And these sorts of pieces are the ones that help a student build up that ability to use vibrato in the best possible way. There's a little section in the middle of the piece here. We played about half of the piece. It's quite short in that excerpt, but just after the excerpt you heard, there is some false harmonics mixed with natural harmonics as well. And that is always a bit of a challenge because of the difference in string height and pressure when you're doing a false harmonic to a natural one. So a couple of places, so for instance, going from those two harmonics, a false one with a stop note at the bottom and an open string one, and then back to a false one. That will take the student a little bit of practice, and I always recommend trying to play nearer the bridge with the bow to allow the maximum string length to vibrate when you're playing harmonics. There are also some harmonics at the very end of the piece, just going across two strings. And again, I think it's important to keep an even, smooth bow speed. And for me, to actually touch both the strings, so I don't need to change the hand, roll the hand at all. I'm actually playing both harmonics at once there. So the only thing that's changing as those notes change is the bow. And I find that that works quite well. I said at the beginning that this piece is muted, and the mute can be a bit of a difficult thing for violinists because it affects the sound so much and it affects your whole perception of the sound. I've got this little clip-on one here, and it's worth, with any student, trying a variety of mutes. Often, particularly if we're playing in ensembles and orchestras, there's very little time to take a mute on and off. And so the standard ones are these sliding ones. And I just thought it would be worth just showing you the difference in sound that mutes can make with just these two mutes. So if I play unmuted, if I put the sliding mute on fully, I've also got the option of just lightly putting that mute on, so the weight is there, but it's not gripping the bridge, it's just almost sitting on the bridge. And then if we move to the little clip-on one, I can clip it in different places. So if I clip it on the centre of the bridge, but I could also choose to clip it between, for instance, the D and the G strings. So some of the differences are quite subtle, but I think it's quite useful for a student to listen to those differences, particularly with violin. We have the instrument under our ear the whole time. And so what comes out to an audience listening is often quite different, naturally, to what we hear here. So it's great for the student to really be aware of those, and perhaps also to be able to go out and listen to somebody else making those changes to see what they think works best. I decided to go with the little clip-on one in the end, between the D and G strings. For me, that seemed the nicest sound in this room with this lovely pianist and lovely piano. And as I say, I would recommend students try that. So this volume of Bacewicz pieces from PWM Edition is a really good introduction to her music for violin and piano. As I said at the beginning, quite a few of the pieces are quite advanced, but if you have a student who is able to tackle this lovely Cradle song, they might want to also look at Melody, a lovely piece in the same volume, and also a fantastic piece called Stained Glass Window, which has some wonderful sliding harmonics and other techniques within it to get a very evocative, atmospheric piece of music. Do get these pieces, they're well worth playing.